All right. Again, thank you all for joining us this evening. We are really glad that you have joined us. We've got a bit of a half-hour presentation, and then we will take time for question and answer after that. And I'll just quickly introduce the team that I've got with me. So Dr. Anne-Marie Nicol is here. She's part from SFU and the BC CDC. She's our epidemiologist on our Take Action on Radon team. My name is Pam Workington, also from Take Action on Radon. And then we've got Sherry McDonald with the Community Center. Thank you so much, Sherry, for joining us. And I will get Sherry to kind of come on at the half-hour point, Sherry, and then you can give us instructions for those that need for coming in to get the kits. All right, so I'm going to just welcome everybody. At Take Action on Radon, we are proud to unite members from across Canada, which encompass the traditional territory of many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people whose ancestral footsteps and rights extend beyond our colonial boundaries that exist today. We respectfully honor these people's rights, history, and relationship with our land. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Anne-Marie Nicol first, and she's going to take us off and give us some background on the health impact of radon.
Thanks, Pam. I am an associate professor in the Faculty of Health Sciences at Simon Fraser University, which is the other university in Vancouver. So I really am on the other side of the country. So I am waving at you from the Pacific Ocean, where I am proud to live on the Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh people's historical and ancestral lands. So I'm here today to talk to you about radon gas. And if this is your first time learning, or you've just heard the word and you didn't know what it was, you are in really good company. Statistics Canada every few years asks people what they know about radon as part of their sort of awareness and education and outreach. And to date, less than 50% of Canadians can accurately answer questions about radon. So the great news about tonight is that you will leave here knowing more about it than almost anybody else. And I really encourage you to tell other people what you've learned here, because radon is a significant impact on the health of Canadians. And even though we've known that it is a potent carcinogen, there hasn't been a significant amount of policy in this country until the last maybe 10, 15 years. So that's part of why you might not know too much about it. Believe it or not, you did learn about it in Science 9, because it's part of the periodic table of elements on the far right side where the noble gases are. But breathing in radon gas releases a form of radiation when it's in your lungs, and this can lead to lung cancer. And indeed, it's actually the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers in Canada, and it's considered the second leading cause in people who smoke. Next slide, please, Pam. So how do we know this? How do we know that radon causes lung cancer? That's because actual people who worked in uranium mines and other mines in Newfoundland and New Brunswick, in Ontario and Quebec, those folks over time, men, working age healthy men, developed lung cancer. And for a while they tried to figure out, was it the uranium that they were mining or the other metals? But when they put that data together with cohorts of people from France and the United States, and Germany, they realized that actually as uranium decays, so as uranium naturally occurring in the soil decays, it gives off a gas at a certain point. And that gas is also radioactive. And as it decays, it gives off radiation. And it's this radiation that breaks DNA bonds, and it leads it to be labeled a known one or a genotoxic carcinogen. So the International Agency for Research on Cancer did a big report. The WHO and many other international organizations address radon. Other countries in the world have radon policies. We've just been a little late to the game. So Health Canada has done sort of a different analyses of how many people might be exposed to radon residentially. So again, the evidence came from us from workplaces, but we know that people are also exposed residentially in their homes, and that about 3,000 people each year die from radon-related lung cancer. And I can't speak exactly to PEI because, again, my focus is often out here in the West. But in BC, about 30%, just over 30% of our newly diagnosed lung cancer patients have never smoked. They're often younger, and they're healthy people. And they are wondering why. Why do I have lung cancer? And radon gas is likely the reason why many people are ending up with tumors, even though they've been health protected with their lungs otherwise. Next, please, Pam. Sorry, I can't adjust the slides from my computer. So about smoking. So of course, tobacco smoke we know is not good for your lungs, but when you add radiation and tobacco smoke together, there is a relationship that's more than double. So it's called synergistic relationship. So it means that it dramatically increases the risk. So if you're exposed to a high level of radon, you're already increasing your risk of getting lung cancer up to about 1 in 20 if you're not a smoker. But if you are a smoker, it's about 1 in 3. And we know that stopping smoking is difficult. However, getting rid of radon is not. So if you are someone who smokes, don't give up on your lung health. Quitting is possible and lungs can repair. But the other thing that you might want to do if you're a smoker or you live with a smoker or you've been a smoker is to make sure that the radon levels in your house are low. And this will help you protect your lung health for longer. This is a federal government publication and it is available to download online from the Health Canada website. Next, please, Pam. In BC, we're trying to quantify this risk, so you can see the dramatic difference. So the radon levels on the left are measured in becquerels per meters cubed. That's the unit that we use in Canada to measure radon. Just a quick note that in the United States, they use a different metric, and it is quite a bit different. Instead of being in the hundreds, it's in the 4s and 5s. So sometimes people get test kits from the US and they'll come back with a very low number that actually looks low, but is actually high. So it's good that you're testing in Canada just to know, like kilometers and miles, there's a different way of measuring radon. We measure the way everybody else in the world does, of course. It's just them that's a bit different. But a 200 becquerel, so where it starts to get red, that's the number at which you want to consider fixing your home and doing radon mitigation, because at this point, the risk doubles. So you can see under 100 becquerels, it's 1%. If you don't smoke, over 200, it's 2%. But then if you smoke, it's a very different thing. So low radon levels, you still have a chance of developing lung cancer if you're a smoker, but as the radon level goes up, the risk goes up. And that's one thing I want you to remember from this slide is the more radon you have, the greater the risk that you will develop lung cancer. Next, please, Pam. So you're not uranium miners. So why are we talking about this? That's because the uranium that's naturally occurring in the soils all across Canada, we are a uranium-rich country. It's just there because, and it's disintegrated and broken down and in little tiny bits and rocks and soils all across this country. Over time, that uranium does give off radon gas. So it's considered a soil gas. And it's in the soil and it's a gas. And so it likes to move. It moves from cold places to warm places. This is probably something you also learned in Science 9, is that gases don't like to stay put. They move from dense places to more open places. And so this is kind of a perfect storm for the soil gas to want to leave where it is and migrate up into buildings. And it does that through cracks and fissures in the ground or drains, areas around drains and pumps that come into homes. And this is why levels of radon gas are generally higher in lower parts of homes or in basements. But even if you don't have a basement, it can still get through the slab and into a home or an apartment building or any other space really that has 4 walls, windows, and a roof. Radon levels can increase over time. Next, please. So where is radon a concern? It is a concern in homes. It's a concern in underground mines, although now there is almost no radon in any of the underground mines in Canada because they figured the system out so that it's safe to work in those environments. Unfortunately, we haven't done the same for schools, libraries, government buildings, homes, workplaces. So Health Canada recommends that all buildings, not just your home, be tested. And if you do work in a public building, it's a good question to ask. Has this building been tested for radon? You might be surprised. Across Canada, many governments have already tested all of their buildings. It's just they haven't really gone the extra mile to tell homeowners how important it is for them to test. Next, please, Pam. So how do you test for radon? Well, it's a colorless, odorless, tasteless, radioactive gas. So in order to know if you have radon, you have to have a radon tester or a detector. And that's what you're going to get tonight. I guess some of you are probably going to leave with one. And some of you will have to go and pick them up. These devices are very accurate, the ones you're going to get tonight, and they're free, which is a great part of this program. But it's really easy to test. And then if your levels are above 200, that's when they start to suggest that you take steps to reduce your exposure. Next, please. In Canada, we recommend that people test for 91 days. And you might think, well, why? That's a long time. And again, our friends to the south don't have the same legislation. They encourage people to only test for a few days. But we know that because, again, radon is a gas, its levels fluctuate. They go up and down. So we don't want to know what the worst radon level is in your home, and we don't want to know what the best day is. We want to know what you're breathing in on average. So we encourage people to test in the winter when they close their homes up a bit more, when doors and windows are shut or heating systems are on. And then for 91 days, that little device will track the amount of radon that's released in your home and come up with an average. This is also why it's important for you to know the start and the end date, because that helps them calculate the average when your test kit is analyzed. But you can see here, if we only tested for a few days, we could erroneously get a high level or erroneously get a low level. And another caveat to this is, please don't put your radon puck in your crawl space or any other place that you try to get an extreme level, because that's not what you breathe. So you want to, when you're doing this test, and this is right here are a picture of some of the tests that will get handed out tonight. They just look like this. They're a bit smaller than a hockey puck. When you deploy them, make sure that you put them in a place where you actually spend time, because we're not trying to find out how bad your house is. We're just trying to figure out on average what your exposure is. The devices that we use for this program are called Alpha Track devices, and they are a one-time kit. You put them in your house. You have to take them out of a plastic bag. Please do that. They come in a plastic bag. Take them out. Put them down. Air passively goes through them over time, and as the radon gas decays, it gives off radiation. So that leaves a little trail inside this device, and that's what's used to assess your exposure. Other devices exist. So you probably have some of these in your library. These are digital radon devices. They are helpful. We call them screening tools, but they are not as accurate. They're also far more expensive than the ones that you're going to use here. So this is sort of the gold standard technology that you want to use to test your home. You could buy these. They're about $200 online, but you have to be careful. So I think we're going to talk a bit about that in a moment. Pam, are we the recalls? Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. So what is the Canadian guideline? What is this number that's going to show up? When you do your little test, when you send it in, the lab sends you a test result back. Pam will discuss this, and then you're going to get a number. So like, what does that number mean? So again, we recommend in Canada that at 200 becquerels, people consider testing their homes. If it's below that, there's a suggestion that you actually retest your home in 5 years. Now, why would you do that? That's because radon levels can change. If things have happened in your neighborhood, if new homes have been built or the ground has been disturbed in and around you, if there's been a major earthquake, or if you've done something to tighten up your home or done renovations, you're going to change the way that the airflow exists in your house. And this can actually influence the radon levels. Warmer houses can draw more soil gas up and into them. Ventilation rates can influence radon gas as well. And we know that energy efficiency initiatives can, in some cases, really increase radon levels if they're not done or balanced properly. So if your level is above 200, that's the time that you want to take to consider reducing your radon levels. And the nice thing about the little test you're going to get tonight is that you don't need to test again with those tests to figure out if your radon level is high. Once you've done these tests that we're going to give you, these again are the most accurate. So you don't need to buy one of these. You can rest assured that the result that you get is technically correct. And we go take some extra steps to make sure that the test kits that you got are correct. And Pam will talk about quality control in a few minutes. Next, please. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to hand it over to Pam. Yep. Because she is our certification and building science specialist. So I can answer questions about health effects later on after Pam talks.
Great. Thanks very much, Anne-Marie. So, as Anne-Marie mentioned, the first step is to test, which is what we're going to help you with tonight. And then after you test, you'll get a report. And if the levels are above that guideline of 200, then we do have a list of certified professionals in your area that can help you with reducing your radon levels. So, CNRPP is our national certification program. You can go on to the website and find a list of people to help you. CNRPP also does research on the devices, and so you can also go to this website and find the consumer report. So Anne-Marie talked about the fact that tonight the devices that you're getting are called Alpha Track. They're a one-use test, and then we're going to send them back to the lab for analysis. But there are digital monitors out there, so if you happen to be thinking about purchasing one of those in the future, there is a list on the CNRPP website. Just click on the consumer report red button, and that will take you to the list. We are warning people there have been a number of devices as these online retailers sort of make accessible sales for things that maybe are not up to par. So we're warning people if you just go and buy a radon detector on there, you may end up with one that doesn't work. So there are some Health Canada recalls. So we have listed them, all the ones that we know about in that report. So look for the green check mark. And if you're curious about, there's a whole long list of red X's there, and you can find the devices that are on the red X. All right, so if you do need to reduce your radon level, radon mitigation is the most effective way to reduce it. And this includes a pipe that provides a pathway for the gas to go up from beneath your home, up and out of the house. And so it's a very simple concept. It gets in, the key is that it needs to be installed properly. And then there's a fan attached that provides the movement of air to ensure that the right amount of air goes up and out. And so it is important for this to be installed properly. First, you want to make sure you have a well-sealed foundation. So if you do have a concrete foundation in your home, that needs to be properly sealed. If you don't have a concrete foundation, then often we'll use a membrane to create that seal so that the pipe can go through into the subslab space beneath the house, and then it provides this pathway up and out, and then it discharges into the outside air. And our research shows that at that discharge point, it really dissipates quite quickly, and so it gets down to quite low levels. And then the fan here in this in the middle provides a movement of air, and you don't want it to be a large fan, so you don't want to suck the air out. You just want it to reverse the air pressure. So just to provide a gentle pathway so that instead of the air is coming up into your home, the air comes through the system and out. Here's a couple, images of what this might look like. On this side of the screen, you'll see there's a little YouTube manometer, and this would also go in place. This provides an indicator that the fan is still working. So I have a mitigation system in my home, and my fan is really quiet, so I can't tell if it's working or not. But I have a little YouTube manometer, and it just is slightly off center, and I can see that, okay, there is an air movement, and it's drawing air through it. On the other photo here on the other side of the screen, this one has an electronic monitor, so it sounds an alarm if the fan stops. So just two different indicators that could be used. Now, the Canadian Lung Association also has a radon mitigation grant program. So if you need funding to help you with reducing the cost of the mitigation, you can apply to the Canadian Lung Association. You can go on their website and find more information about this. But in order to apply, you will need a long-term test report, and so you'll get that with this program. You also need a quote from a CNRP professional, and you need to apply prior to starting any of the work. So you want to make sure that you take a look and get that application in before you start the work to reduce the radon. But you also need to qualify, and so there's two ways that you could qualify. Either it's an income-based qualification, and that is below the median income for the province. So you can go on the Canadian Lung Association website, and they disclose what the median incomes are currently. And the other way to qualify is if there's an occupant in the home that does have lung cancer. So one or other would qualify you for it. Now, you may have heard some news, so I just wanted to let you know about some current things that are happening in the region. Some news from New Brunswick. The province there has created a motion to to make lung kits available across the province. And so that's been an exciting development over the last year. They made a motion in the legislature last November to support testing and then investigate mitigation. And then the other thing that I was going to point out for Prince Edward Island is the schools have also been tested. So there has been some active work in the province in the workplaces, both to educate and ensure that workplaces know about radon, and also to make sure that schools are tested. So there too, I think they've been fairly open with the information, and there's been information in the public about that as it's been going on. So you may have heard of that as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about the basics and the background of radon. If you have any questions, feel free put those in the chat, or you can also use the Q&A button. So if you're online, you can put those in. If you're in person at the community center, then we will get you to ask them in person. So I'll come to you partway through the questions. But first, before we get to that, I'm just going to walk through the program so that you know all the details of how to get your kit and start it and all that sort of thing. So just a quick overview. The first step is to pick up your kit. So some of you will get those tonight, and some you'll have to come in to the community center over the next week. And then you're going to put it in place, leave it for the 3 months or 100 days, and then drop it back at the community center. And then we will ship them back to the lab, and then they'll be analyzed. So I'm going to break those steps down a little bit. So once you have the package, then you are going to take it home, and we encourage you to set it up right away. So in the brown envelope will be your radon test as well as instructions. And so as Anne-Marie said, the test comes in a little package, plastic package. So just cut open that plastic package and take the little black detector out. And then put that in a room where you spend 4 hours a day or more. So I want you to think about your home. And if you happen to have a basement, which I think might be a few of you, but if you have to have a basement where you spend 4 hours a day or more, then that would be a good location to put it. Think of a bedroom or a home office. But if you don't have a basement, then you would think about your main floor. So again, think about the bedroom or a home office or a family room, some place where you spend at least 4 days in your home per day, or sorry, 4 hours in your home per day, and then pick a table or a shelf in that space to put it in place. And so you kind of want to think about the breathing zone, so you can just put it on a shelf or a table. If you have kids or pets and you want to put it up a little bit higher so that it's there when you go back to get it in 3 months, then you can do that too. We have done research to show that there is a good range, and the levels are very even all the way throughout a room. So you can put it up. Best practices, we always say, put it in your breathing zone, but honestly, it's not going to make a huge difference if you put it up a little bit higher. It's better to put it in a place where you know it will be in 3 months. So the detectors aren't unsafe for children. So if they happen to pick it up and play with it, it's all good. There's nothing in it that would harm them. And the same with pets. There's nothing in it that would harm it. But you just want to make sure that you can find it when you go back to get it in 3 months. And we have had issues with dogs chewing the detectors, and that does impact so it doesn't hurt the dog, but it does hurt the detector. And so it is, the detector has just really small openings, and if the dog does chew it and puncture it, then it does make the test inaccurate. So just a heads up. Okay, so we're in your house, you've put the detector in place, and now we need you to go on and record your start date. So there's some information that is required so that we can get you your radon report. And some of that is we need your serial number. So on the detector is a serial number, or also we put the same number on your envelope. So you can look either of those two places for your serial number. So you're going to put the serial number online. You're going to put your name and your contact email, your contact information like your email, your address, and then the date that you started. So that is going to be mandatory information. And then we do have some optional information. So we are doing a little bit of a survey. So if you want to keep going and answer some questions about your home, then you can do that. If not, no problem. You can just say no thanks and then hit submit. And that's all that we need. If you do have any issues with doing the online survey or you don't want to do it on the computer, you can give us a call and we can help you through it, or you can or get a friend to help you. And then at the end of the program, there is a survey as well. So same thing, you can either do it online or you can give us a call if needed. Now, some of you, about 10% of you, will have two detectors in the envelope. So Anne Marie talked about the fact that the ones that we're using for this program are really accurate. And we double check that in a couple ways. So one is we, do analysis on it. We ship them off to a special lab where we expose them to a known amount. And so we test how accurate they are. But another thing that we do is we check how consistent they are with measuring. And so this duplicate quality control helps us with checking how consistent they are. And so if you do get two detectors, please take them out at the same time, set them up, and just put them side by side each other. So just a little bit apart, but right in the same place, and start them and then drop them off at the same time. And then on the start form, you'll notice that there's a place for a second serial number. So if you have two detectors, then that's where you would put it. If you only got one detector, great, you can just skip that field. Okay, so that's all the setup. And then you've got 3 months to enjoy life and wait. And then we will have the collection period in the spring. And so at the collection period, you just need to come in, drop off the detector, and then again, go online and record the serial number. And so you have an envelope where it will have the serial number and then a little space where you can enter the start date and the end date. And so what we do is we recommend that you write down those numbers on your envelope, because if something goes wrong with technology or you forget to do everything, then you at least will have the record of your serial number and your start and end date. And those are things that you won't be able to remember in 3 months. And so after you drop off the detector. So that envelope you can keep until you get a report from us. It also has our contact information on it. So if you don't get a report from us, you know how to get hold of us. So keep the envelope, but when you drop off the detector, just drop the detector off. And so you can just drop it in the box and that's enough. And so if you've done the online survey, we will have all that information. But again, just in case things don't happen and you don't get a report, that envelope has all kind of the backup information for you. Okay, and then after the detectors go back to the lab, then you will get a radon report. So here's an example of one of our reports. And it would come back and it would have your contact information on it, and then it would have a radon number with it. And then we also send kind of a second document with it that it interprets. So we actually walk through all the information that Anne-Marie went through. It's just the basics of the information, but it's in a document that's attached with the report just to kind of remind you of the different things, information about the radon levels and fixing and all sorts of things. So that will come by email. And so if you don't get that after, by next summer, for sure, you can give us a call and reach out to us, but it should come to you. Now, this is the third year that we have been working in the province to distribute free test kits. And so this was our report from the first year, actually, and we're just finishing up the second year report. So I just thought I would share that. So this was, we worked with Mermaid and Johnson River area. And so we'll be updating these reports as we get more data across the province. But after, so your individual reports are confidential to you, so we don't share that results with anybody, but we do summarize the information and share it for a summary report. And so that's what this shows, is just the summarized details of the project. All right, so that's all the basics. So starting tomorrow, you can go in and pick up your kit. And Sherry, thanks so much for holding on for us. Do you have any instructions for everybody when they come in to pick up the kit? Oh, sorry. I just muted you by accident. I was trying to help you unmute. Perfect.
Leaving for a second.
I could just move you to Milton computer if that would be easier.
Sorry, I was in the same room. I'll be here from 9 to 4 and Sunday from probably 2 till 8:30.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
also here next week
Okay. So then they can come in from 9 to 4. Is that what you said?
Or Saturday.
Okay.
Like we're here 9 every day, but I'm also here on the weekend.
Okay.
And if anybody's not sure, they can just email admin@miltonvalepark.com.
Perfect. Okay. So then we'll send that information out in a follow-up email so everybody has that. But yeah, you can go in and see Sherry or a team member at the community center to pick up your kit. And when you go to pick up the kit, we'll just ask you to write your serial number next to your name, and that'll just be kind of a little backup for us so that because we need that serial number to sort of help you with your report. So we'll get you to record that. And then if you don't, and then at the end of the program, so in 3 months, from February 16th to 20th, that's our drop-off week. So that one is really quick. You just can go in and drop it off, and then the same location. All right, and that is, oh yeah, just a couple quick announcements before we move to questions. We have a contest that we're hosting. So it's called our November contest. So November is Radon Action Month in Canada. So we're playing on the word no. If you learned something new about radon tonight, then we encourage you to share this with your friends and tell them about it. And then you can take a picture that represents it and enter our contest. So you can go to knowvember.ca. So that's knowvember.ca and tell us what you did. And we have weekly gift cards through draws through November. So $50 gift cards through two gift cards throughout November. And then final prizes of a Fitbit or a paddleboard, which I think would be great if you're living on PEI. So, and then a kitchen stand mixer. So, and then some other gift cards. So go ahead and enter. And I will give you a hint that if you enter now, you have really good chances of winning because our first draw is November 3rd. So we're just launching. So you got a good chance if you get your name in now. And then while you're there, you can also play the November game or the Radon game. And so we did this as an easy way to enter the contest. If you're there, then you can kind of walk around a little community and play a little Radon game and learn about all the different homes and buildings in your community.